I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. I recently sat down with John and Jan Oakes to talk about their planting a new church in Merced, California. Merced is the home of a new University of California campus that's predicted to become the largest of the UC system. Find out more about this new planting on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. I'm with John and Jan Oakes at the Pacific Southwest Leadership Conference in Long Beach, California. John, Jan, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you today about your planting to Merced, California. And I wanted to find out, can you give us an update of what's happening? What are your plans going forward?
Well, Jan and I were in San Diego until about three and a half years ago. I had retired early from teaching chemistry and physics for about 35 years. And I retired a bit younger than normal because we're just looking for ways that God can use us to serve Him. So we ended up, unexpected to us at all, leading a church in Bakersfield, a small church. And arriving in Central California, we came to the conclusion that the disciples in our fellowship need a sense of mission, a sense of purpose, a sense of being on the edge spiritually, which I think some of us have lost a little bit about that. So I decided a couple years ago, and we worked with a consortium of churches, Fresno, Sacramento, Antelope Valley, and Bakersfield, that what we need to do is we need to get back to what, as the International Church of Christ, we're kind of known for doing,
right?
Which is planting churches. So we just decided we're going to do that and put together a plan. And then last summer, we were in a meeting, and I think it was Raphael Lewis said, well, you need a little skin in the game. You guys need to find a couple that can actually lead this thing. So we're looking around, and Isaiah 6 kind of came out, and next thing you know, here we are, send us. So Jan and I decided that we're going to take on this awesome, amazing, fun, exciting, and a slightly scary task of planting a church in Merced, California. I'm going to let Jan talk in a minute, but I'll just say a little bit about Merced. Merced is a smaller city, just under 100,000, maybe around 300,000 in the immediate area, but it is a growing college town. There's an essentially unevangelized UC there, at least from our perspective, from our church, and a large community college. And we said, that's where we want to go. So we bought a house. We're kind of all in there. People keep asking, so who's on your team? And I'm saying, God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus and Jan and I. So we do need some people that want to join us, kind of get on the edge here. And so anyway, I'm going to let Jan talk.
Well, we're taught from the very beginning that our mission and our goal was to save the lost. And from that beginning, I know it's always been on my heart to bring the gospel to people. And as a wife and a teacher and a mother, that was my goal. My goal was to have team go, every team that my children was in, that was my fishing hole. And so as we've grown as disciples, God has given us more responsibility and get greater challenges. And I believe that going to Bakersfield was a huge challenge for me to even just get the idea that I would even go there. So I let all my defenses down and said, God, if that is where you want me, if you're going to use me there, then let us go there. And sure enough, we went there. The people were praying for us to go there, to come and help them out. And I felt like Paul, being called to be there. And so I think God has really blessed our time there. And we had planned to be there just for a couple of years, probably. Well, then this Merced, it was really on John's heart. He worked on the campuses, both in both campuses in Bakersfield, and he would bring the kids home, and I would reach out to them and feed them, and our campus ministry was a great success, just from loving them and feeding them and teaching them the gospel.
That's awesome. Now, Jan, people your age, I know you guys are in your 60s. You guys were in San Diego. That's like heaven on earth. I mean,
Yeah.
You go to Bakersfield, it's a great city. I mean, it's a home of country music. It's amazing in its own way, but I mean, it's not San Diego for sure. And then to go on another mission team to a startup. Okay, is this something you're excited about also as well as John?
I am. Interestingly enough, it's a process to get there. But I love the challenge. I love that God is going to use us in ways that we don't even know.
Right. Well, I'm just super impressed. I mean, I just go, that's the way to go. And it reminds me of when Ham and I planted a church in Ashland, Oregon back in 2004, 2005, that time period. It was scary, and we went on our own. We bought a house and just trusted that God would build the church, and He did. And I'm absolutely confident that He's going to build a great church there, right next to UC Merced.
Yeah.
Now, UC Merced, is it going now? Do they have students?
Yeah, luckily. It's still a little bit on the small side. I think it's somewhere between 10 and 12,000 students. But California has a plan eventually for it to become the largest of all the UCs, for good reason, is that there's a lot of room there. They're hoping to have 15,000 students by 2030. And really, the city of Merced is growing rapidly, and largely because of the university.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, John, what are you looking for? Like, if a person were interested in going on a mission team, what could you offer that person who's maybe interested? Hey, I'd like to go. I'd like to do it for a year or two, or just try it out. What could they expect?
Well, Jen and I are really looking for, I guess, two, if you call it, categories. And one would be students leaving high school, going off to college, consider going to either community college at Merced College or to the university, or maybe people who've been in community college transferring to finish their 4-year degree to come and join us to start a brand new campus ministry. And I've been in college for about 49 years. I am a professor. And you could ask Josh and Joel, who we've been raising up there in Bakersfield. I'm on campus all the time. I'm the old guy. I do tutoring. I'm walking with students. We just have a lot of fun. We're playing Frisbee and cornhole and throwing a football around. Here I am, 67 years old. But it's kind of cool because I'm a college guy.
Right.
And I just love doing that work. So we're looking for students to be willing to do a 1-year challenge, to just flat out move to Merced, go to college there, to be part from the ground floor of building something that is going to be pretty amazing. But what we also need is we need to be a multi-generational church. And so we're looking, anybody who wants to come, y'all come. But we're looking for probably some more mature couples, maybe in their 50s and 60s, who, we have so many hundreds, thousands of disciples in our churches who are, I think, maybe a little bit more comfortable where they are than they probably need to be spiritually, to come and join us. And so I really believe, and we've been doing this in Bakersfield, that the college students and teens, although we're not planning on anything big teen ministry right away, that the older people and younger people, they need to kind of work together and be community.
Right. That's fantastic. One of the things that gets me excited about this situation is small church, small planting, being able to walk with a teacher. You've written how many books, John?
I've written 15 books.
You've got 15 books. I mean, being able to walk with you, for you to be able to teach, to be able to live in a really great place, Central California. It's a golden opportunity for someone who wants to walk with a leader and then to be able to learn from that leader. And I think that's a great opportunity that you're providing. So
right, and not just me, Jan's there as well. Jan is, we were having this conversation just last night. In terms of being willing to support, first of all, to become a little bit more out of the box than she naturally would have been. I'll just share a really quick story. I remember earlier on, this number of years ago, we were going to take our family kind of our own little missionary trip. So we were deciding, I said to Jan, well, we could either go to Mexico City or to Bogota in Colombia. And Jan said, we'll put it this way, I will never, ever, ever go to Bogota, Colombia. And then just a few years later, she went with me to Bogota to teach for the church. And then a couple years after that, we sent our daughter to spend the summer in Bogota, Colombia. So on a scale of 1 to 10, being supportive of what we're trying to do, I give Jan at least a 9. And she's a builder. Her specialty is studying the Bible with people and putting on amazing events. Those are her two, and teaching. Great partner there. And she's been a great partner in raising up Josh and Joelle, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thrilled you guys are going. I mean, multiplying churches, that's Christ's dream, seeing the gospel spread. We didn't cover this at the beginning. For those who are not familiar with where Merced is, can you talk about where it's located and what's close to it?
Right. Jen, why don't you start and I'll finish up.
Well, it's in the north part of the Central Valley. It's near San Francisco for our great events that we want to have. It's near Sacramento, our state capital, and there's lots of agriculture. Any nut you want is grown there.
Right. So when people think of California, they think of NorCal and SoCal. And what they're forgetting is that California is a state of 35 million people. I'm guessing 6 to 8 million of which live in the Central Valley, which is definitely not LA, it's definitely not San Diego, it's definitely not San Diego. And by the way, if you can't stand the smell of agricultural things going on, probably don't move to Merced, because it is in the center of a vast farming area. And there are literally dozens of cities in the Central Valley that are waiting for ministries. There's
right.
Modesto, there's Madera, there's Visalia, there's Stockton, and all these other cities.
Right.
So there's a need there.
How far is it from Yosemite?
Well, thank you for that softball question. I think it's probably literally the closest city actually to Yosemite. Fresno advertises themselves as the gateway, and I guess because of the highway that goes through Fresno, that's true. But actually, we're closer. So, and I haven't actually driven from Merced to Yosemite yet, but it's about an hour, I think, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so when are you moving there, and when do you plan on having your inaugural service?
Okay, we're moving there June 1st.
Okay.
And we have a small group that are actually there. In fact, we found out yesterday we have our first Bible study.
Awesome.
A young lady who lives in our neighborhood that we didn't meet. Another sister, Diana, knows her, so we already have a study going there. And so June 1st, and Jan and I are planning on moving there. And so we're hoping to put together the beginnings of a team this summer. We have some campus students coming there. And we're hoping to have a few students be there on campus, actually being students by the end of August. We'll have maybe a total of 8 to 10 there this summer. And the exact date we'll do our official inaugural service is kind of depend how the team comes together. Probably not till sometime in 2023. We'll have this big service where we invite LA, San Francisco, San Diego, all to come together and kind of celebrate. And by that time, we'll have a building we'll be meeting in. For the first few months, we'll be having house church, Bible talk, and midweek probably at our house. We have a nice big house.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're going there, getting it going, doing the groundwork, establishing the congregation, and then you'll have a big kickoff in 2023 probably.
Most likely.
Most
We
likely.
don't have a date yet.
Okay, no date yet, but essentially it's like an internship, and then you'll have an inaugural in the near future.
Right.
Okay, that's exciting. So we'll be praying for you. All the best to you guys. I'm inspired by your faith, and may God bless everything that you've got planned.
Thanks,
Amen.
Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining the Rob Skinner podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, please hit the subscribe button and let your friends know about it and how to find it. Because my goal is to inspire you to make this life count, live a no regrets life, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day and make this life count.